I am a minimalist, sort of. I am on a journey of minimalism, but I definitely have my hiccups and I am a continued work in progress. Case in point, my feet are currently resting next to a box of crackers under my table. My table is nice and clear. It's beautiful behind me. My dining room is lovely. Welcome to the channel. My name is Erica Lucas. I am going to share with you in this video my aha moment and when I realized I needed to start living with less. If you're new here, I'm a mom. I'm married to a Navy sailor and we have 3 kids. We have always been stuff havers. In April of 2018, my husband was on his first deployment since we had kids, and it was supposed to be a one and only deployment. It turned into essentially 3 deployments, almost 2 years that he was gone. We moved the kids and I to Pennsylvania near my parents. He was stationed out of Virginia, but he was going to be at sea, so it didn't matter if we lived in Virginia. So we lived in Pennsylvania near my parents. We lived in a house of 1,700 square feet, and I was, at that time in 2018, unaware of the volume of things that we had, and that we were surrounded by clutter, and that my kids were surrounded by clutter, and had so many choices and had so much around them that it had its own persona in our house. It caused stress. It caused me anxiety that I didn't even recognize as clutter anxiety. We had so much stuff. I had to move things from shelf to shelf or counter to counter or off the counter to clean the counters to put back onto the counters. We had so much stuff compared to what we have now. Andy was gone the rest of the year. April 2018 to December 2018, and I didn't do anything about the stuff. We just had stuff. After he came home, we went back and forth to Virginia. He came back and forth to Pennsylvania. We spent as much time together because we knew that he was deploying again. We decided that we were going to have the rest of our things brought from Navy long-term storage to be delivered to our house in Pennsylvania. Andy and I had aspirations of dealing with all the stuff, organizing it, put it where it belongs before he left for deployment. I had no idea that it was hundreds of boxes in addition to all the stuff we already had in our house. And in that storage delivery in the summer of 2019, we were suddenly catapulted from managing and living with our stuff to being unable to use rooms in our home.
Everything okay?
I'm good.
To being so surrounded by clutter, thousands of things that we couldn't even use our house like we wanted. The summer of 2019, after the storage delivery, we were going back and forth to Virginia, and we were planning a long stay in Virginia before Andy deployed. Packed us up. I packed everything I thought we would need, which in hindsight was an atrocious amount of things. I had it organized and labeled in bins and bags, and it was labeled as Brandon's clothes, Rebecca's clothes, Jack's clothes, bedtime, games, puzzles, school, pool stuff, beach stuff. I mean, just when you travel with kids, you need stuff anyway, but I had packed the van so tightly and with so much stuff, I had to take things out in order to get the kids out of the van. We rented a house in Virginia for 3 weeks. I had searched for the perfect Airbnb for the 5 of us to spend that special time together over the summer. It was spacious, it was roomy, it was near the beach, it was near where Andy had to go to work every day. We could walk to the beach. It had 4 beds, a washing machine, beautiful kitchen. When I pulled up to the house, parked, unloaded bins just to get the kids out to stretch their legs and go up to the house, I also had to lug all of those bins up a flight of stairs to the first floor and then a flight of stairs to the second floor. It was so much stuff. and I put everything in the house. The kids were in, and we went exploring through the house. I was immediately stressed out. There were no dressers to unpack everybody's stuff. There was nowhere for me to unpack all of our games and puzzles and toys and the ridiculous amount of things that I brought to sustain our lives for 3 weeks at that time. And I even had the audacity to message the owner of the home and say, where am I supposed to unpack my stuff? What is, like, you don't have any furniture. You don't have any dressers for me to put away my clothes for 3 weeks. And she said, we felt the home would be more relaxed with less stuff. So we had to live out of our bins and our bags for that time. Except that we didn't. We did not use more than half of what I brought with us. It wasn't needed. I thought we would use every single thing that I brought, and we used less than half. I did laundry every single day. We wore the same clothes every single day. We had meals together. We went for walks on the beach. We went for walks down just around town. We spent time together. We played games together. We watched movies together. We snuggled on the couch and we spent time with Andy. I did not need more than half of what I thought I would have needed. At the end of those 3 weeks, I was happier, I was calmer, I was so less stressed. I laughed all the time. And of course, seeing Andy again was a big part of that, but also not having stuff. The house was so easy to keep clean. It was so easy to clean up everything because we have one thing in front of us all the time. Everything was simple. I had unexpectedly rented a minimalist house and did not anticipate the feelings that would come from living so simply. And we had been introduced to simple living accidentally. I was accidentally a minimalist for those 3 weeks. Andy and I were lugging everything back down 2 flights of stairs into the van, and I realized how much we were lugging back down to take home with us that we didn't even use. And that was my aha moment, that moment of clarity where I just said, what are we doing with this stuff? That was the moment I started questioning stuff. The volume of stuff and clutter in our lives was suffocating. It was stuffocating. I saw it as our stuff. These were things that we spent money on, that I'd spent money on, that were gifted to us. They were things that just were riddled with guilt of getting rid of it or even knowing what to do with it. I had shared on YouTube at that time. I'd had 90 subscribers, all homeschoolers, and I was just sharing our homeschool journey on YouTube. It was not a way to make money. It was not a side hustle. And I shared our basement and our stuff and my struggle of even knowing what to do. And the YouTube algorithm powers that be caught that video and shared it. And it has almost 250,000 views now. The channel in the last year and a half has had 5 million views. People watch over and over, but that means there's millions of people that are connecting with the struggle of stuff. And I'm not alone. And I am so grateful because that's how I found support and information and help. You guys commented suggestions, and for the first time I was introduced to the words maximalist, overspender, consumerism, and minimalism. And one other word, hoarder. I can't say that I call myself a hoarder back then or a recovering hoarder now. I do not want to discredit anyone struggling with hoarding because it is something that is extremely difficult, and I want to be respectful of anyone who struggles with stuff and struggles with hoarding. I was called a hoarder in the comments, and maybe I was. I think if you have to look up the definition of hoarder, you might have some of the tendencies. I had level 3 and level 4 tendencies. We couldn't use parts of our house. We couldn't use a bathroom. I didn't know what we owned. I had levels, floor to ceiling, wall to wall stuff. There was no way we could exit out of that floor, out of the basement level if there was a fire. It was a hazard to my family for sure. I had no idea how to let go of things. And I started watching minimalist blogs or started reading minimalist blogs and watching minimalist videos and watching how others did it and figured out ways that it could work for me. And I started my decluttering muscles, started building my decluttering muscles over time. And those first couple of months were very difficult. I didn't know how to let go of anything. And my path took me on The Joy of Less by Francine J. And a quote that she had in her book had inspired my first minimalist mantra. I had to decide what to keep, ask why, and let go of the rest. And that was a pivotal mindset shift for me in decluttering and minimalism. I was nowhere near minimalist at that time. It was a pivotal point in decluttering for me because now the mounds of things that I was looking at every day trying to figure out what to get rid of changed. They just changed for me. All of a sudden, it was what did I want to keep from this pile and let go of the rest, how to let go of the rest. And that, it was fuel to the fire at that point, and I had really started kicking it into gear. I applied it to my kitchen. I started applying it to the rest of the house. I started applying living with less as a lifestyle and not just about a pile of games or a pile of puzzles or a room in our house. And that part of the journey forced me to deal with shopping habits and problems, spending habits, spending issues, and to deal with the financial guilt of stuff. That was definitely something that held me back from letting go of stuff. It was money I spent. It wasn't money I could recoup by selling, but it was money I spent. So I should use it. I should find a place in our life for it because I bought it. I spent money on it. And that took several months to do. And the more often I did it, the easier it became. The journey had led me on a number of discoveries, and biggest of those I would say would be the whys, the motivation behind living with less. At first for me, it was because I wanted to spend time with my family without the anxiety of the clutter that I had. I had to stop spending, I had to start saving, I had to get rid of stuff. I had to change our lives. I was compelled to, after that aha moment, after Andrew being gone, which ironically afforded me the opportunity to spend some time on those issues and those emotions and myself. This whole time, Andy has been deployed or in Virginia, and we've been seeing him any chance that we get. And on the last day of the last deployment, it was June 17th, 2020, and we went down to Virginia Beach to pick him up. Oh, there's car seat. Just there you go. Can you see him? We have stuff. We are definitely still a work in progress. We've got 20 unpacked boxes for Andy in the basement. We have another 25 boxes of sentimental stuff that I need to go through. And then on another assessment of everything we decided to keep on that initial first round, we're going to go through it again. Because now, a year and a half later, what we know we can live with is different than what we knew 18 months ago. I don't worry about the number of clothes in my closet or the number of plates in my cabinet. Choices are made with thought and research and intention now. Living with less is just a practiced lifestyle. I'm definitely minimalish. I can't quite say I'm a minimalist because we still have 45 boxes unattended in the basement. I've got a mess somewhere in this house for sure. Minimalism has branched me into other areas of low waste and zero waste. It's branched me into sustainable choices for food, for clothing. It's branched me into slow living the last couple of months and what that feels like and what I want from that. How do I want to exchange my time? Now that I've addressed so much stuff, I'm addressing how I spend my time and how I want to exchange my time for something a little more in the lane of slow living. I like the speed of slow, and I am really happy about living life on purpose. Thanks for watching. Would love for you to subscribe and join our family here on YouTube, where we support each other with kindness in the comments.